Good morning. Good morning and welcome to Stratford. Thank you for all being here on this, what is a truly historic day for Stratford and for rail travel across Connecticut. This magnitude of change doesn't happen on its own. It really takes a community that cares. So I want to thank the great Governor Lamont, Commissioner Eucalitto, Senator Blumenthal, Congresswoman DeLauro, Senator Wang, and our partners from Amtrak and Metro North for their leadership and for choosing Stratford as a starting point for this work. This is a beautiful morning. It is a new morning for Stratford. Stratford has always been a rail town. We've had this train here for almost 200 years. The first train launched here was on December 25th, 1848, on Christmas Day. Our station is a gateway for residents commuting to jobs, students heading to school, and visitors discovering everything our community has to offer. This $340 million first phase means real, tangible change here at home, a rebuilt Longbrook Avenue Bridge, upgraded track and signal infrastructure, and a more modern, reliable New Haven line, and a faster one too. This project also means good jobs, approximately 125 of them, and long-term investment in Stratford's infrastructure and economic growth. Projects like this don't happen again without strong partnership. So I thank you to the state, our federal delegation, the Federal Railroad Administration for recognizing what this corridor means to Connecticut's economy and to the daily lives of the over 100,000 people who ride it. On behalf of the residents of Stratford, we are proud to break ground today and excited to see this vision become a reality. Thank you, and it's now my privilege to turn things over to Commissioner Eucalitto, who will serve as our MC this morning. Thank you.
Okay, good morning. Thank you, Mayor Chess, for the kind introduction and for welcoming us here to Stratford. So today does mark a historic moment for Connecticut's rail system and the Northeast Corridor. We're breaking ground on what's called TIME-1. It's the largest component to date of our Time for CT rail program, which we introduced here in Stratford 5 years ago. This three-phase, $1.6 billion investment is going to modernize critical sections of the New Haven line, delivering the infrastructure needed to move trains faster, improve reliability, and create a better experience for riders traveling between New Haven and New York. The first phase focuses on a 3-mile section of track between Bridgeport and Stratford, including new catenary structures, bridge improvements, track and signal upgrades, and new track connections that can improve train operations through this corridor. The second phase brings significant improvements right here at Stratford Station. We're going to upgrade the tracks and platforms, adding ADA compliant infrastructure, enhancing pedestrian communications, and modernizing the electrical systems with improved lighting and emergency power. The third phase is going to continue critical improvements, including catenary upgrades, which is the overhead wires, bridge replacements, new crossovers for the trains, and retaining wall installations. Together, these improvements are going to transform how trains operate along one of the busiest rail corridors in the entire country. Once the three phases are complete, trains are going to be able to travel at speeds of up to 90 miles per hour through here, from today's maximum of 70. These upgrades could help enable future service improvements ultimately can help save riders approximately 25 minutes on trips between New Haven and New York by 2035. In addition to today's announcement on service enhancements, the project is also an investment in Connecticut's workforce. This project is going to support around 125 jobs, with the overwhelming majority of the workers right here in Connecticut. Since launching Time for CT back in 2021, we've already improved significant parts of our rail infrastructure. We've invested over $562 million out the door, paid to contractors, in modernizing our infrastructure, improving service, and making rail travel more reliable for riders across the state, and it's paying dividends. Back in 2022, we announced our Super Express trains that got service down to 99 minutes between New Haven and Grand Central. Since then, through targeted investments partnering with Metro North, we've shaved another 11 minutes off of those trips, so saving people up to 20 minutes from where they were prior to that point. We increased service on the Waterbury branch line. We restored service on Shoreline East back to Stamford, and we've improved connections to New York. We've upgraded tracks, signals, and power systems across the New Haven line, advanced critical bridge projects like the Walk Bridge project. We're designing the Devon Bridge replacement. We're improving accessibility at stations statewide, and we're investing in a new fleet of rail cars and locomotives. These upgrades are creating a stronger rail system for today and tomorrow, building the foundation for a faster, more reliable service through the TIME program. Governor Lamont, thank you for your leadership and for your vision and for challenging all of us at ConnDOT to keep moving forward in modernizing our rail system, which had languished for many years. Time for CT builds on Governor Lamont's broader commitment to rail service across Connecticut, including the rail stations we announced on the Waterbury branch line and new stations in Windsor Locks and Enfield. I want to thank the Federal Railroad Administration for its partnership. Without the Federal Railroad Administration, but ultimately without our federal delegation who is here, none of these projects would have been possible. We've secured a total of over $2 billion in discretionary grants through the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act just for rail. And without that bill, without the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, none of these things would have been possible because there was no funding for passenger rail before that bill. So thank you to our federal delegation, thank you to the Federal Railroad Administration, thank you to our local partners, and especially thank you to Metro North and Amtrak for working together to make this vision a reality. But thank you to the crews that are going to deliver this project, the operating engineers, the team at Yonkers, and all the designers and planners for making it possible. Together we are going to rebuild the future of rail in Connecticut. And with that, I want to introduce one of our partners who fought so hard in the Senate to make these types of investments possible, Senator Richard Blumenthal. Senator?
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Thank you for your leadership. You're one of the national leaders among transportation commissioners in the country. And thank you to Governor Lamont, who has spearheaded this project, but rail and road improvement in Connecticut, making a dramatic difference in our state, a historic difference. Today is historic. It's not a one-off. It's part of an overall plan to make rail speedier, safer, more reliable. Build it and they will come. The more we build and rebuild, the more attractive rail will be, the fewer cars we'll have on the roads, the safer we will all be environmentally and otherwise. So this project is part of an overall plan to make rail faster and safer. But make no mistake, we're in a fight. And I'm going down to Washington. In fact, I have to leave early to catch a plane to preserve the surface transportation bill as we have built it. And I want to thank Rosa DeLaura for her leadership in this effort. She has helped to lead our delegation in the House, Chris Murphy and I in the Senate. We are all in for rail improvement because it is our future in Connecticut, one of the most densely populated areas in the country, and the highest use of rail in the whole country. Think of it. People in Connecticut and the northeastern region use rail more than any other part of the country. So we're investing for our sake as well as the country. And let me just conclude by thanking everybody who is here, all of the leadership, which is so united, and most especially the workers who are here, only a few of the many who will be working on this project, the guys in the hard hat, who are going to be out here in weather considerably harder than what we're seeing today, and the unions that represent them, which play such an important role in making sure that we treat them fairly. Thank you all for being here today. It really is inspiring to see this kind of progress in Connecticut. Eliminating 25 minutes on the trip from New Haven to New York is going to make it possible for me in the future to take rail instead of having to trek up to Bradley to take a plane. So thank you all for being here. Keep up the great work. Thanks.
Next up, as Senator Blumenthal mentioned, the leader in the House for us pushing to make sure that Connecticut gets the funding we deserve from the investments that Congress is making, Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. This is really, it is a glorious day. I want to say a thank you to you, Commissioner, and for your leadership, and to you, Governor, thank you for vision. This is about vision for the future, what we need to do, and the Governor has that vision and understanding what rail and transportation means for economic growth in our community. And he's someone who's absolutely committed to making sure that we have a transportation system and a rail system that is second to none and gets people where they need to go. I want to say a thank you. These go on to my colleague, Senator Blumenthal, for his work and Senator Murphy's work in the Senate, and to the rest of the Connecticut congressional delegation. Just to tell you, we're on it, and we're going to continue to be on it. You know, today Americans are caught in a cost of living crisis. They live paycheck to paycheck. They struggle, multiple jobs. They look everywhere to find affordable child care. Projects like this, which invest in our infrastructure, help to bring jobs back, make people's daily lives easier, is so important. And as I said, this is about economic growth, which benefits everyone. Long-term investments like TIME for Connecticut Rail lay groundwork for the future. They help to connect people to new places and new opportunities. Functional infrastructure is even more important during the current cost of living crisis. When gas prices are as high as they are now, having risen over $1 nationwide since the president launched, paused, and relaunched his war of choice in Iran, people need reliable transportation. They need trains that run on time, that do not cause them to waste precious time and gas sitting in traffic. Connecticut is home to the most used commuter rail in the country, and TIME for Connecticut represents a comprehensive multi-year plan to improve our state's passenger rail network. Today we celebrate $1.67 billion in rail improvements, modernizing critical sections of the Metro-North Railroad corridor in Connecticut to improve safety, reliability, and future travel plans. It's focused on, has been said, between Bridgeport and Stratford, upgrade the corridor from Federal Railroad Administration Track Class 4 to Track Class 6 standards. And that is increasing maximum authorized speeds from 70 to as much as 90 miles per hour. I would love that, guys, I would love it. It creates 125 direct jobs. When the total program is in place, it will reduce travel time to New York City by 25 minutes, improving access to education for jobs for Connecticut residents, while creating an estimated 45,000 direct construction jobs. And let's hear it for our unions, our workers. Thank you so much. Thank you for what you do. This is about strong federal, state, local partnerships. With that kind of a partnership, we can make robust improvements in Connecticut's rail service, increase safety, and foster sustainable economic growth. I do sit on the Appropriations Committee. I will continue to work to increase federal investments in Connecticut's transportation system. Roughly 54% of the first phase of TIME for Connecticut Rail is being funded from 2 Federal Railroad Administration grants. a federal-state partnership grant of $172 million and an FRA Consolidated Rail Infrastructure and Safety Improvement Grant of $12 million. Our delegation has fought to protect funding like this for major surface transportation projects. I'm proud that in the final 2026 Transportation and Housing Bill, we passed it on a bipartisan basis, I might add, friends, but it rejected the President's $42.6 billion cut, protected more than $34 billion in advance funding made available by the infrastructure bill this year. We restored investments for projects already underway. We maintained operations for Amtrak's Northeast Corridor at $850 million and $1.6 billion for the national network. My goal in all of these negotiations was rejecting the House Republican bills, avoiding major cuts to rail and transit. This is personal to me. I ride the train, I ride the rails twice a week. And it is a great way to travel. It's just not how I get to work in Washington every week, but it is how hundreds of thousands of people across Connecticut and the Northeast Corridor move on a daily basis. We'll continue the fight to protect these programs. Reliable mass transit is an investment for everyone. It helps bring down costs, it makes lives easier. Okay, it's what good government is supposed to do. Today we are one step closer to a stronger and a more capable regional rail network. I thank you, and thank you, Governor, again for your vision for this effort.
Next up, we have one of our great partners who I have gotten the pleasure of getting to know pretty well is the Amtrak Executive Vice President of Strategy and Planning, Jennifer Mitchell. Jennifer?
Hello, everybody. This is a great day for rail passengers in Connecticut and across the entire Northeast Corridor. I'm very proud to join you here as we celebrate this exciting milestone. Amtrak has a very large presence in Connecticut and a very strong partnership with Governor Lamont, Commissioner Eucalitto, and many other stakeholders who are committed to improving transportation in the Constitution state. Across the state, we operate more than 50 inner-city trains a day across 4 routes, and we support over 2 million passengers a year. That's why we are so enthusiastic about today's groundbreaking. Time for Connecticut is a comprehensive program that will increase efficiency and reduce travel times for all rail passengers, including those that are traveling for Amtrak. This doesn't happen by accident. It requires coordinated, large-scale investments in trains, tracks, stations, bridges, and supporting infrastructure. These investments strengthen the entire Northeast Corridor, better connecting communities and economies from Connecticut to Boston to New York, Washington, D.C., and beyond. At Amtrak, we're very proud to be your partner, contributing funding, technical expertise, planning, and coordination support while continuing to provide high-quality rail service across Connecticut. Thanks to support from our federal partners at the Federal Railroad Administration, Amtrak is also embarking on a new era of rail, including additional investments in Connecticut. For example, just an hour up the railroad, Amtrak is replacing the 119-year-old Connecticut River Bridge, one of the most significant rail infrastructure projects in the Northeast. And just to the south in Norwalk, we have contributed a portion of the funding to Connecticut DOT's replacement of Walk Bridge, one of the oldest movable bridges in the region. But beyond these bridges, Amtrak has also begun to roll out a new fleet of modern, accessible trains, starting with our next-gen Acela, and we will be followed by new Aero trains coming next year. This means faster trips, greater reliability, and a better experience for every passenger. That's why we're here today. So Amtrak's goal is to run a great railroad. It's a very simple mission, but it requires strong partnership at every level. That includes state and local leaders like Governor Lamont, Commissioner Eucalitto, Mayor Chess, as well as our federal leaders and our federal delegation here. Thank you for your support of surface transportation authorization. And other federal leaders as well, including Secretary Duffy, FRA Administrator, and our FTA partners as well. So again, congratulations on today's groundbreaking. We are very pleased to be here, and we look forward to continuing our partnership into the future as well.
Next up, we have our partner who helps us address a lot of the deficiencies, the mud spots, the signal improvements we need to make, and who helps run the service that so many people in Connecticut rely on. Metro North Railroad Senior Vice President of Operations, Joey Lagana. Joe?
Good morning. I'm Joseph Lagana, Senior Vice President of Operations for Metro North. It's my privilege to be here with our federal and Connecticut state partners as we move forward with the Time for Connecticut. The New Haven line is the nation's busiest commuter rail line. We operate more than 300 trains each weekday and another 200 on the weekends. These trains support essential workers, leisure travelers, and other customers who depend on our safe and reliable service. It's a lifeline for people traveling to work, school, medical appointments, sporting events, shopping, and the many opportunities that connect our communities. We are proud of the service we deliver. Since 2020, our on-time performance has been above 97% year over year. Our Super Express trains between New Haven and Grand Central have reduced trip times to as little as 88 minutes. Our ridership is booming, with June's ridership at 13% higher than this time last year. Last year, the New Haven line carried 34 million riders, with 22 million of those trips to and from Connecticut stations. That's 22 million people who are not on I-95, the Merritt Parkway, or Route 8. Today, we are partnering with Connecticut DOT to prepare the New Haven line with the next generation. Time for Connecticut investments makes your trip faster, improves safety, enhances accessibility, increases the number of trains we can run, and creates a more reliable and efficient service for every rider who depends on this line. These investments are about people. They're about you. None of this would be possible without strong collaboration. I thank our partners at Connecticut DOT and the many community group, local leaders, and federal partners who have helped shape this vision. We're looking forward to riding into Connecticut's bright future together. Thank you.
Before I introduce our last speaker, I do want to recognize that all those federal grants, we need the state funding to match those. And so Governor Lamont has proposed significant investments on the rail side, but it also is the General Assembly that has to take that request up, pass it as part of the budget. So the Stratford delegation who is here, Senator Perillo, Representative Gresco, Representative Shake, Representative McGorty. Did I miss anyone? No. Okay. No other legislators here. So appreciate their support for investments in rail, both operating as well as the capital side. So thank you to the entire General Assembly for stepping up and helping us deliver on this program. And so last speaker I want to introduce probably the governor who knows more about rail than any other governor in the country, and has constantly pushing us at ConnDOT on what we can be doing to speed up the trains, make life better for people who use the system, and attract more people to the system. Governor Ned Lamont.
Well, Garrett, what I know about rail, I think I've learned from you. And David Chess, 1848, that's when the train launched right out of here. That was a while ago, Christmas. Time for Connecticut, high time for this upgrade. One of the most significant upgrades, I think, in the history of rail in this state. I just turn the clock back for a second. I mean, every 4 years we have this political cycle, and usually three chestnuts always come up. Number one, DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles. I got to wait in line an hour. So typical of state government. Well, now you can renew your license while having a cup of coffee in bed on your laptop. Number two, there's usually a direct mail piece that comes in. It's a big high-rise being built in your backyard, not in my backyard. Well, not here in Stratford. I understand that talk about transit-oriented development. There's going to be a lot of housing going on. What used to be, what is it, an old school back there? We have to repurpose these old buildings, make sure they're at their best purpose for it. Few less people able to not need a car and walk right here. And the third old chestnut, I know you've heard this before, the trains were faster under Teddy Roosevelt. Well, not anymore. I mean, our trains are faster than they've been in 10, 20, 30 years. Thanks to Garrett, thanks to Metro North, thanks to Amtrak, taking a good 20 minutes off that commute from New Haven right through here down to New York. Very soon, Stratford, Bridgeport will be as close to New York City as Stamford is today. And let me tell you, that makes an enormous difference in people's lives. That opens up the whole residential catch basin. I should turn this on its head, David. New York will be closer to Stratford than it's ever been before. And that's what we're trying to do all over the state. You saw what we got going now on the Waterbury rail line. More frequent rail service than ever before. Picks you up almost twice as often. And all the housing going on there, replacing all those train stations, more people wanting to be there. You don't have to, New York City, great place to visit, wouldn't want to live there, but if you go there 2 or 3 times a week, it's a lot easier if you can save yourself 1 seat, maybe 20 minutes. That's what we're doing now, and get another 20 minutes by 2035. The Hartford rail line, say New Haven to Hartford, there we'll be able to get that down close to half an hour, right, Garrett? Let's see what we can get going on there. Tie our major cities together. And Amtrak, thank you for what you're doing. Especially the New Haven-Boston corridor. It's part of the whole life sciences and biotech. We're one combined area. And Amtrak being able to take a significant time off that commute and do it safely. New rail cars going up to 90 miles an hour. I'm sorry there are a lot of twists and turns, I know, but if we were China, we'd just take down 50 houses and straighten it out, but we're not China. But we are going to do the tracks up, so you'll be able to bank those turns, get some faster speed. You know what that means? Maybe an extra 15 minutes in the morning you can spend with your child, get home 15 minutes earlier at the end of the day, and have a nice cool glass of wine. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Any on-topic questions before the dirt talk?
I was going to ask you this question, but since you told us that the governor knows more about commuter rail than any other governor in the country.
I know how to delegate, too.
Of the increases in speed, is any of it at this point due to physical improvements as opposed to the express trains that you're initiating?
Yes. So the initial first announcement in 2022 was just due to express trains. Since then, we shaved another 11 minutes off of that timetable due to infrastructure improvements. So where we had drainage problems, where there were signal problems, the team attacked those little points. So we attacked some signal issues at a few key locations, some mud spots they're called, where there's drainage problems. That all of those individual cases allowed us to increase speeds through there. So we shaved a total of 11 additional minutes off of that timetable.
And can you address the question of expectations? There's always a sense of deja vu at going to press conferences about announcing infrastructure programs in general and rail in particular. So what do you want the commuting public to know about? What are the potential pitfalls? What is realistic about the 2035 goal? Because 2035 has been a goal for a lot of improvements for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, infrastructure takes a long time, right? Especially on the railroad, because unlike the highway where you can have detours, the railroad, there is no detour. The trains, there's no other way to get around the Northeast Corridor. So we have to do the work while the trains are moving. It's so critical to Connecticut to keep the trains moving. But I think what we've taught, the state of Connecticut's talked about it for a long time, but thanks to the governor's investments, thanks to the federal delegation and the FRA's investments, we're actually doing the work now. You see it in Norwalk on the Walk Bridge. You see it now, construction being taken underway here. We'll have the Devon Bridge, the Saga Bridge in Westport, and all of those are actually happening. And the one pitfall is going to be, what is the federal government going to do in the next surface transportation bill? Is there going to be funding for rail? I know our delegation just sent a letter pushing for rail in the next bill, and so we're partnering with them to raise the alarm down in DC that we need rail investment in the future, because these projects take a decade or more to deliver.
And how much of the 1.6 billion you talked about is committed and available, and how much of it is subject to congressional changes?
The next 2 phases of the project are subject to those congressional changes. So The next phase is going to be in 2030 and then 2031. So we have a few years to work with the feds to line up. We already applied for a grant just a couple weeks ago that we're hopeful we'll receive funding through. So we're going to continue to hammer away at the FRA and just ask for more money everywhere we can.
What kind of impacts can current riders expect, and how are you limiting those delays and things
So
like that?
it'll be similar to what goes on anytime we have a station project. So we want to make sure to keep the station open and operating. You see that in Darien, where we'll have part of the platform open, part of the platform closed while being replaced. But the station improvements are going to be a few years out. Right now, it's the overhead catenary structures that are going to be worked on.
Is that going to impact the trains?
All the work that we do on the railroad does impact trains. So you see that where you slow down through certain areas while the work's getting done. It's short-term pain for long-term improvements in speeds. So I know people get really frustrated when they slow down on the railroad, but once the project's completed, they'll be able to go a lot faster through that territory. So, anything else? Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.